She texts back in 2 hours. Not because she's busy, because she read the message an hour and 50 minutes ago and decided to wait. He didn't ghost you. He's sitting right there, phone in his hand, doing nothing, on purpose. Here's the part that messes with people's heads. That tiny gap, that little bit of silence. It doesn't push people away. It pulls them in closer. Why would less effort get more attention? That's what we're going to figure out. Let's start simple. Think about anything you've ever wanted badly. A job, a pair of shoes that sold out, a table at a restaurant with a 2-month wait. Notice something. You didn't want it more because it was good. You wanted it more because you weren't sure you could have it. Your brain doesn't measure value the way you think it does. It doesn't ask, is this good? It asks, is this available? And when the answer is unclear, your brain panics a little. It assumes unclear means valuable. Because in nature, unclear used to mean dangerous or rare or both. So here's the first shift. Someone being slightly unavailable isn't a rejection. To your brain, it's a signal that says, this might run out. But here's the problem. This only works in a very specific range. Too available, and there's no signal at all. Too unavailable, and your brain gives up completely. There's a narrow zone in between where the magic happens, and almost nobody hits it on purpose. So what is actually going on in that narrow zone? Picture two people talking. Person A responds instantly, every single time, within seconds. It feels nice at first, attentive, easy. But give it 2 weeks, something strange happens. The excitement drains out of it. Not because person A did anything wrong, but because there's nothing left to wonder about. No mystery, no gap for your brain to fill in. Compare that to person B. Sometimes fast, sometimes a few hours, never explains why, never apologizes for it either. Your brain doesn't experience that as neglect. It experiences it as a puzzle, and puzzles are addictive. Your brain wants to finish them. This is the part most advice gets wrong. People think playing it cool is a trick you perform, like a costume, but it's not a performance. It's a resource problem. Let me show you what I mean. Think about a store with unlimited inventory versus a store with 3 items left. Same product, same price. Different feeling completely. Your brain treats availability as information about value, even when the two have nothing to do with each other. Now apply that to attention. If someone is available to you every second of every day, your brain quietly reads that as this resource has no limit. And things with no limit don't feel urgent. Urgency needs scarcity to survive. But here's the twist nobody talks about. Scarcity by itself isn't attractive. A person who's cold, distant, and never responds isn't mysterious. They're just unavailable. Full stop. Your brain gives up on unclear signals eventually, especially if there's nothing warm mixed in. So what actually creates the pull? It's not distance, it's contrast, warmth, followed by a gap, interest, followed by space. That combination is what your brain can't stop chewing on, because it received a real signal that this person likes you, and then the signal stopped, and your brain wants to know why. That why is the entire engine, not coldness, not games, just an unanswered question sitting in your head, quietly in the background all day. Here's where it gets interesting. This isn't just a dating thing. Your brain does this everywhere. Think about a TV show that ends an episode mid-scene. You didn't need a cliffhanger explosion. You just needed an open loop. One unanswered question was enough to make you hit next episode at midnight, even though you had work in 6 hours. Relationships run the exact same software. A person who is warm and then briefly quiet creates an open loop in your head, and open loops feel like something you need to close. Not because you're weak, because that's literally what attention is built to do. Let's slow down for a second, because there's a deeper piece here that most people miss completely. Your brain doesn't just track whether someone is available. It tracks the pattern of how their availability moves. Think of it like a heartbeat. A flat line is boring. Even a flat line at a high level is boring. What your brain actually responds to is rhythm. A rise, a dip, a rise again. This is why someone who is warm all the time eventually feels flat, even though nothing bad happened. There's no rhythm, no wave for your brain to track, just a steady hum that fades into the background, the same way you stop noticing the sound of a fan after 10 minutes in a room. Now picture the opposite. Someone who is warm, then quiet, then warm again. Your brain locks onto that pattern the way it locks onto music. It starts predicting, it starts anticipating the next beat. And anticipation is one of the most powerful feelings your brain can produce because it's actually more intense than the reward itself. This is the part that surprises people. Studies on reward systems in the brain have shown something almost backwards. The anticipation of a reward often lights up the brain more than actually getting the reward. Waiting for the text can feel bigger than the text itself. Wanting to see someone can feel bigger than the moment you finally do, which means the gap isn't just tolerable. It isn't just something people put up with. The gap is doing the actual emotional work. It's the space where craving is built. But here's the catch that ruins it for most people. If you fake this on purpose, calculating your replies, timing your silences like a chess move, it usually backfires. Why? Because people can feel calculation. It doesn't feel like natural warmth followed by space. It feels like a performance with a hidden agenda. And your brain is shockingly good at detecting agendas. There's actually a reason for this too. Humans evolved in small groups, where reading intentions correctly wasn't just useful, it was survival. If someone in your tribe was being nice to you for a hidden reason, missing that could cost you everything. So your brain kept a very sensitive detector running at all times, built specifically to catch fake warmth. That detector doesn't turn off just because you're texting instead of standing face to face. Manufactured silence has a different texture than real silence. It's slightly too convenient. It shows up exactly when it should, lasts exactly as long as it should. And convenience like that, weirdly, reads as suspicious. So the real skill isn't act unavailable. It's something quieter. It's simply having a life full enough that you're not always sitting there waiting. When you're genuinely busy, genuinely into other things, the gaps in your attention are real, not staged, and real gaps read completely differently to another person's brain than staged ones do. Think about the difference between someone who doesn't text back because they're at the gym, actually sweating, actually distracted, versus someone who doesn't text back because they're staring at their phone counting minutes. The outcome looks identical from the outside, same 3-hour gap, but somehow people can sense which one it is. Maybe it's the tone of the reply after. Maybe it's just consistency over time. But the fake version rarely survives more than a few weeks before it cracks. This is why the advice, just be busy with your own life, keeps showing up everywhere, in every generation, in every culture. It's not a trick, it's just true. Availability naturally becomes uneven when a person actually has a full life. And that natural unevenness is exactly the signal that creates attraction. No performance required. And here's something that flips the whole idea on its head. The people who chase this the hardest, who read every article, who count every minute before replying, are usually the ones with the least room in their life for anything else. All that focus is aimed at one single person, which means their days actually do become empty except for waiting. Which means the calculation becomes true. There's nothing else going on. And that's the exact thing that kills the effect. Meanwhile, the person who never thought about any of this, who's simply busy building something, training for something, seeing friends, working late some nights, ends up creating the exact pattern everyone else is trying to fake. Not because they planned it, because their life just naturally has that shape. Which brings us to the twist most people never expect. The people who are best at this aren't trying to be mysterious at all. They're just living lives so full that mystery happens on its own, as a side effect. The gap in their replies isn't a strategy, it's just Tuesday. And that's precisely why it works so well, because it's real. So if you're waiting by your phone, timing your texts, calculating the exact right amount of silence, you've already lost the thing that makes silence attractive in the first place. The moment it's a strategy, it stops feeling like a gap in someone's world. It starts feeling like a gap they built for you to notice. The real version doesn't need a plan, it needs a life.